it's interesting because you really don't grasp how incredible God's love is until you see a mother in action. Because if you ever really want to understand how powerful God's grace is, just watch a mother interact with her children, and that's how God interacts with us. It's interesting to talk about mothers from a husband or a father's perspective, but I was reminded of this morning as I left the house to come to church this morning that there's no days off when you're a mother. You don't get to call in sick. I'm starting to feel a little release in the spirit over here. We're getting some amens from this corner. But there's no days off. You don't get to call in sick. And I was reminded of that as it's supposed to be a grand day of celebration and my wife is home with a sick child. Isn't that fantastic? Happy Mother's Day. And I want to help inspire us, husbands maybe, individuals, if there's anything that you could do today, capture the moment and honor her for her. Put aside your differences, your frustrations, and maybe the little things that have wedged between you and your mother possibly, and honor her for mothering you and helping you, because something happens when you become a mother. You put the needs of that child in front of your own. Your wardrobe will begin to age because you're finding yourself going to Gap and Babies R Us, and your husband doesn't understand why do they need another pair of shoes. Why do they need that? They're just going to tear that up. But I just want them to look cute. I just want them to look handsome. And you're like, us husbands don't understand that. All we see is the registry in the checkbook possibly. But mothers will constantly put the needs of their children and their family first. Ecclesiastes 3:1 says this: to everything there is a season, a time for every purpose under heaven. There's an opportune time to do things, a right time, and for everything on the earth. And we begin to, I think it was cup of coffee number 2, we begin to talk about the seasons of motherhood. There are distinct seasons, and no doubt this morning you will find yourself in one, possibly more seasons in your life of motherhood. There is springtime. We find ourselves in springtime, and no doubt if you go to Lowe's or Home Depot on a Saturday, you'll notice this because every cart is loaded to the max. It's a new beginning. It's a new birth to the year, so to speak. And as I can reflect, and time's a tattletale, because we all plant things, and sometimes it takes time for that to unfold. Many of us, we've planted gardens already this year, and there's a lot of nurturing, and you understand that when something's 100% dependent on you, you begin to despise the gophers in the yard. You begin to despise the squirrels. Well, there are gophers and there are squirrels in life that we protect, or mothers protect. It's interesting, you can see a hen as her chicks begin to hatch, and you'll notice that she'll protect them at all costs. Isn't it? Go to the local, if you ever brave the mall. I tried to. My parents flew in on Friday, and I went to Victoria Gardens, walked 2 blocks, and said, this isn't for me. I'm going to sit in the truck until they arrive. You could be in a room full of people, and a child begin to cry. And that mother will perk up and say, you know what, what's wrong with my child? See, we understand that spring is birth. It's the foundation years. I can never forget, and I've said this before, but Brother Bradbury had a saying, and I think he put it on one of his Sam toys, and the name of it was Details Matter. And you see, from a builder's perspective, you understand that everything, the house is standing, not because of what the rendering looked like, but because someone paid attention to the details. Mothers pay attention to the details. If I'm responsible for packing lunch, as long as there's something in the lunchbox to eat, we're good. But mothers make sure that everything's perfect, and they know whether you ate your food or not. Dads are like, are you hungry? No. Okay, fine. Mothers pay attention to the details because we understand, or mother, not we. I'm not a mother, I'm a father. But mothers understand that every hair has to be in place as they go to the school bus and they go to school. Everything is set to the minute detail, to the nursery. Everything is in order. We understand that, and this may shock you, but the mother's curse is real. Sister Eve, you're shaking your head. Yes, it is. And if you don't think there is such a thing, it's true, because I'm pretty sure your mother, somewhere as you were a child, said, I hope one day when you grow up you have one
just like you.
It's real. Because something happened. I have one. Not one, but two that are just like me. And I used to think that God gave us children so we could raise them, but as Pastor said in the past, God gave us children so they can finish raising us. Because we understand that it's in the foundation years. Something happens when that little child, I can remember my daughter, as she began to learn, sorry to embarrass you, sweetheart, but as she began to learn to crawl, and I'm hastening here, she would crawl over to the flower pot, and I already knew what she was going to do. You know how before you have kids, you have a thing called inside plants? We don't have anything like that. She would crawl over and she'd reach her hand and say, don't do it. She'd look at you and you already know what's going to happen, don't you? She'd reach in there the whole time, don't do it. She'd grab the dirt, don't do it. And she'd go like this. Mother's curse. That was me. But see, we understand that I can remember when we started our family, my wife and I had a saying, and I've mentioned this before, but we said, you know, if we're going to make this thing work and we want our family to grow and to be a safe place, we've got to learn to put self on the shelf. There's got to be a place in your home where you belong, because as a parent, you understand that it's not about you anymore. I'm reminded of just take breakfast, for instance. Everybody else is fed and mom eats last. But today, we put mom first. And we understand that motherhood is a season. If you find yourself in the springtime and your family is young, before you know it, springtime is gone. When you realize how fast seasons come and go, you'll treat Christmas different. You'll treat spring break different. You'll treat these holidays different, because instead of looking at it as years, realize if you have a child that's 8 years old or 10 years old, you really only have 6 more spring breaks. And that's it. Seasons are important to enjoy because they're like a whisper. They're like a vapor. They're here, they're gone, and before you know it, your timeline will show up on your social media page, and you'll think to yourself, that was 5 years ago? Enjoy spring if you find yourself there. See, it's funny, you walk through the mall or the grocery store and you see all these pictures of how happy mothers are. And I can remember being a youth pastor and going to all these events and towing my family with me, and it dawned on me, and I looked over. There wasn't a pastor's wife. Check it out. Go to church. Look, none of the mothers are smiling. Today they are. But watch it. You'll see it. God will be moving, and they'll be worshiping and moved with this hand, and this other one is waving wildly, just whacking kids. And I thought to myself, I want to make sure that my wife can enjoy the springtime. Then you go to summer. Summer's a fantastic. Many kids right now and moms are like, I am so thankful that summer's right around the corner because I can relax. I can enjoy this time with my kids. Summer's great. You're happy as a mother to see it come, and you're excited to see it go. School. You see, as your children begin to walk and they begin to run and they begin to terrorize your house, and you feel like you can't get anything done. I just cleaned this house, and how quickly can you destroy one room? See, summertime in a family is where you find out that little Junior has grown, and now they're beginning to show you some things in your own nature that you were like, wow, that reminds me of me. See, and as they begin to grow and as you raise them, they also raise you. Because not too long ago, you mind if I tell this story, Sister Debbie? Your granddaughter. Nobody else is sure. Thank you. Thank you for saying this. I appreciate that. Children watch what we do, and they mimic what we do, not what we say. That may be a shock, but it's true. And I can remember there was a service, and before we moved the platform, I was over here, and Sister Debbie's granddaughter was sitting next to her, and somewhere she learned that she took her tissue, and she was worshiping. She was worshiping one hand. She took her tissue, and they went like this. And I started dying, and she looked at me, and she started rolling. I said, that's hilarious. Because she learned that from somebody. My daughter learns everything from Mom, and she learns everything from me. And in summertime, you know that your kids start to grow, and they start to mature before you know it. You're like, wow, summer's here. They're already 10. They're already 12. They're junior high. Are you serious right now? See, to create memories that will last a lifetime, enjoy the seasons of motherhood. To some, it's springtime. It's a beginning. You're excited. You're painting walls. You're redoing rooms. To others, it's summertime. You find yourself in the middle, but there are other things that about motherhood that are important and should be enjoyed, because before you know it, it's gone. We just celebrated Mother's Day, it seems like. We just did a service just like this. I want to wind down my thought this morning with a verse in Proverbs 31. And for many of you, you could probably quote this. And it's speaking of motherhood. It says, verse 27 of chapter 31, she looketh well to the ways of her household, and eateth not the bread of idleness. Her children rise up and call her blessed. Her husband also, and this is important, husbands, dads, let's honor the mother of our children, because they deserve it. They are the rock stars of the home. Amen? Amen. Her children will rise up and call her blessed, and he praiseth her. Kids, it's important to honor our mothers. It's important, mothers, that we observe and we enjoy the seasons of life, because they are coming as fast as you can. I can't believe we're almost done. We're almost to the halfway point of 2017. That's right. Yeah. Almost. A school year is almost over. Mothers, we honor you today. The season that you're in, enjoy it. It may seem like it will never end, but enjoy the seasons of motherhood.
Yes, he got to talk about spring and summer, and I get to talk about fall and winter. I guess because I'm older now. We were sitting around and we were talking about what we could do for Mother's Day, and we both decided that we didn't know anything else that mothers should know. So we thought, what can we do? But we said, let's ask God. God, what does every mother need to know? And the thing that began to rest on us was this subject of seasons. And we say seasons because can you imagine a farmer trying to sow a harvest field in the winter? That would be utter frustration. Someone that was trying to plant a vineyard in the wintertime. If you don't know the season that you're in, it could be really complicated if you don't have an understanding of the season. And so what we thought is we would take some time and break down these seasons. Now, the season of fall The season of fall is a very beautiful time of the year. Would you agree? Yeah. Now, I know in Southern California, we only get 2 seasons. Hot and really hot. And so we don't have the changing of the leaves and all the beauty, but back east, the colors, the winter, time changes. It's a wonderful time of beauty, and it's a time of slowing down. And the season of fall is one where we think, oh, we're going to go to the holidays, it's going to be a great time, and we're ready for a change. But the season of motherhood, if we're going to compare it to the fall, yes, it is one of great change. I would say it's known as the teenage years. This is a time that you will learn to pray. Yes, mothers. This is a time when your teenager thinks they know everything. I teased because I have raised teenagers, and it seems to me when they became teenagers, they immediately became NASA scientists, and they knew everything. And at one point I said, well, you just need to get out of school and go just straight to work, become a scientist, make bazillion money, make all kinds of money that you want to make, because I can't tell you anything, because you know everything. Can I get a witness? Amen. And this just isn't my children. I believe it's all children. There is a coming of age where they think they know more than mom and dad. Especially a mother. And a mother has mother's tuition. She hears things. She has bionic ears. She has bionic eyesight. She has bionic insight. She has all these things that she can pick up on. And so, teenage years, it's a season when it's hard for parents, especially a mother, because it's a time when teenagers are like, I'm not excited to see you as I used to be, unless you have money for me. It's a time that can be full of pressure. It's a time that is very challenging. It's a time that can make you kind of feel like this. Like you're drowning in the pressure because everything that used to work is not working. They're getting bigger. They have a mind of their own. It's a very hard time. I mean, for a mother, think about it. Your heart has been implanted in this being that walks around separate from you. And the things that this other being does has incredible impact on your heart. And you had control, and you do have some control. But as time goes on, you are losing control. Are you with me? It's at an emotional time. And it can be full of this type of pressure where we think, what am I doing wrong? What is happening? What is going on? This is interesting. You need to remember. You need to remember some things. But you may feel like this, okay? Mothers with teenagers know why animals eat their babies. You might feel like this. Ever had a job where you had no experience, no training, you weren't allowed to quit, and people's lives were at stake? Welcome to motherhood. Welcome to the hood. You can't leave. If you leave, your husband will track you down. I remember one time when Brother Anderson was taking care of the kids because his wife was going on a little trip. And about the second day, I remember him saying to me, how does she do this? I said, I don't ever want to hear you complain about your job ever again. Yes, it is an incredible task, motherhood. It is incredible, the things that they have to endure. This is something you can tell your kids. To my children who like to argue with me, where do you think you got your attitude and your stubbornness from? Give up. I've had decades more experience than you. This season, I have a word for you. You need to remember this. You need to put this down. You need to write it in your Bible. You need to think about it when you're praying. You need to know this. This is something that I feel God wanted me to tell you. This is so important. When your children are teenagers, it's important to have a dog so that someone in the house is happy to see you. that really wasn't it. I have something spiritual. It didn't come to stay. It came to pass. It didn't come to stay. It came to pass. You need to remember that. You will make it through this period. And in this season of teenage years, the fall, you need to ask yourself why you did have kids. I'm serious. You need to ask yourself, when you find yourself pressured, when you find yourself wondering, who is this child? When you think you're a part of prophecy because maybe you are raising the Antichrist. This is what happens when you leave two guys to talk about Mother's Day. Just kidding. I'm just teasing. I don't care who you are. That was funny. It's really bad when you laugh at your own jokes. Anyways, you really need to ask yourself why you had kids in the first place. I mean, they don't want you around. Why do I have kids? Why did I do this? Now, I thought about this from one's perspective. Think about ancient times why people had kids. They needed someone to protect the village. We need more warriors. We need more workers in the field. Let's have more kids. Or there was a time, even in America, when there was a legacy thing. We need to repopulate. We need to duplicate. And we need to progress. But in today's world, why do we have kids? Seriously, you're not trying to protect your house, are you? Is there a village that needs to be saved? I mean, I really thought about this for a moment. I was, really, why do we have kids? Do you know why we have kids today? I'm going to tell you why. For the joy of it. And hear me. We have a responsibility from God to enjoy them.
Amen.
Not just raise them. I really believe the first thing you owe your children is to enjoy them. Amen. Not just raise them, not just... Don't get caught up with the pressure and the frustration so much so of the season that you forget to enjoy them. Because let me tell you something, kids pick up on this stuff. They have hypersensitive radar. Kids can pick up if you're simply just putting up with them. They can. They can pick up on it if you're just putting up with them or you are truly enjoying them. Kids have this sensitive radar system. And this is important. If they pick up on how we take care of them and it is a bummer to us, that's going to have a lasting effect on them. If they pick up on the simple fact that we enjoy them, we enjoy the spring, we enjoy the summer. But what about those teenage years that can be full of pressure? This season will pass and you won't have this season again. Did you enjoy these years? And I mean, our posture to how we raise our kids, it will fundamentally affect them. And there's two reasons why. Number one, how you think about being a mother to them deeply shapes how they see the world. If you are full of joy, regardless of what is going on, they're going to pick up on that. It's going to help them to make it through life's woes when there are troubles abounding.
Amen.
If they pick up on that you think it's a bummer to be your mom, and they pick up on the things that you say, they're going to realize, wow, I really wasn't appreciated. Or, This has lasting effects. Joy is, I believe, the energy that drives the universe.
Amen.
Because God is full of joy.
That's right.
He is. It's a known fact. Now, I know teenagers can frustrate us. I know things can cause us great strife, can cause frustration, anxiety, pressure. But we need to be able to find some joy. I said there's two reasons why it's important that we think about this, how we raise them, how we shape them, especially as mothers, because mothers have such an intimate touch on their kids, on their children. Again, it shapes their world. But number two, because being a parent, being a mother, would you agree with me, is highly difficult? I mean, some kids' temperament, it's challenging.
Yeah.
It's okay, moms. You can say, yes. I know your kids are sitting there, you're like, oh no, you're the best. Here's the thing, though. You might be in a challenging season with a teenager. You might be in a challenging situation dealing with anger, frustration, or aggravation. I mean, they go to their room, they don't talk to you, they don't want to be around you except if they're asking for something. This is not a reflection on you. You need to do the due diligence to find something that you can refocus your heart on, even if it's something small, and find the joy in being their mother, because that will reshape and refocus your heart into what you're called to do. Being a mother is a calling. It's a massive responsibility to raise a child, and you will need the lightness of joy
Amen.
to mature them, to parent them, to love them. And here's the thing. You know, when your kids are in the summer years or in the spring years, remember when the kid wouldn't sleep? It's 3 a.m. in the morning and they're waking up because their socks fell off or something, and you're going in there like this, and then you stub your toe, and you're like, how many mothers have little broken pinky toes? And see, I wish this kid would sleep. It's a season. Because when they're a teenager, they're asleep on Saturday at 1:30 in the afternoon, and you're like, get up. What you're frustrated with is a season that will change. All that energy that little kid has running all around, there's going to be a time you're going to look at that kid at 2 o'clock in the afternoon playing video games. Where did all that energy go? At 3 and 4 years old, they're full of asking questions. Why? I don't know why elephants are gray, okay? Why? I promise you, it's a season. You're going to wish, when they're a teenager, they would talk to you. So develop a pattern. Enjoy the season. Understand. Maybe you're a single mom, and you just can't keep up with everything that is going on. It just piles up, and you fall farther and farther behind, and it edges your temper a little bit, and you're losing it here, and you're saying things you know you shouldn't say. Slow down. Refocus your heart. Try to find something, again, to focus on in that child's life that brings you joy, because that's the ultimate reason why we have them in the first place.
Amen.
Is to bring them joy. If you don't think I know this is true, all you have to do is look at Job's situation. I use it all the time. I just used it last week. Job is in the middle of the hardest season of his life, and he's asking God for answers, and God is telling him about how an ostrich can outrun a horse. And what is God doing? God is telling Job about the joy of his creation and the joy of the universe and the joy of just living. And even in the midst of great pain, he's letting Job know this is a season, but joy is what runs the whole universe. Joy is what can run your whole... If you'll take the time to refocus and not get so caught up with the pressure, the frustration of the season, and find something, even if it's trivial, something small. If you can't find anything, look at something small and then focus in on that and let it realign your heart. Let it shift your heart towards joy. You know what will happen? Your child will see the difference. Your child will feel the impact and the effect of that. Instead of complaining, refocus and retool to the joy and see what that does to what's going on. Because let me tell you something. Your car will not always look like this. Because when they move into the teenage years and they want to borrow your car, no. It's a season. This is going to pass. So if it's a season, do this during this season. Jude 21, keep yourself in the love of God.
Amen.
How do you keep yourself in the love of God? Stay faithful to the house of God. Stay faithful to pray. Stay faithful as best as you can. Looking for the mercy of our Lord, because we all need mercy. We don't need to dump our anxiety into the kids, into this season, because we're frustrated with the season. Your child is not a bucket for you to pour anxiety into.
That's right.
Your problems. Keep yourself. Make your home a space that is full of peace.
Amen.
A space that is full of refuge, safety, comfort. They're going to need that. Even if they retreat to their room and they refuse to talk to you, give them that space. Keep yourself in the love of God. Keep yourself. How do you keep yourself in the love of God? The rest of the verse says, looking for the mercy, because you got to have mercy during this time. You can't give mercy unless you have mercy. You have got to soak yourself in mercy. You've got to pour your anxiety into God.
Amen.
Hear me, this is so important. The best gift you can give your kid is to be fully alive yourself.
Amen.
I know we think it's about training and it's about telling and it's about pointing, but the best gift you can give your kids is to remember God gave you them for joy and to raise, and you remember that, and then the best thing I can do is give them somebody that is fully alive.
Amen.
My heart is fully whole. You need to ask yourself these questions. Do I take care of myself? Or have I given up? Is there areas in my life that I'm losing faith? Are there areas in my life that I've backtracked in? Is there an area where I've just said, no, I'm not going there because my heart has gotten hard and embittered? Because remember, we heard it a few weeks back, we don't mellow with age. We harden. We wrinkle and we crack. And if we aren't soaking in love, all those cracks are going to ooze something. So what are you oozing? Happy Mother's Day. There's a title for the message. The point is this. Our kids, if we're not careful, because we're so full of angst sometimes, they will be a bucket because they are receiving, whether you believe it or not. You are teaching. Sometimes you use words. And they are catching these things. And it's going to shape, it's going to form. The best gift we can give them is to be whole ourselves, not to lose our faith, not to lose our way, but to be fully alive, to be fully healthy so we can bless them. Why is this so important? Because you are always teaching. You are always teaching something. A good question to ask yourself is, what am I teaching? What am I passing along? Am I passing wounds? Am I passing hurts? Am I passing fear? Am I passing that I can't do this or I can't do that? What am I teaching them? How am I going to make them be whole if I am not whole myself? How is your interior world? Your emotions, your heart, your mind. See, we need to learn to give our kids as little as possible that they will have to unlearn later.
Amen.
If they see you with fear, and it's okay sometimes. It's okay. I'm not saying to put on a facade. Be real. But if you know you have issues in certain areas, if there's bitterness, and all these things, then get some help for your interior world so you can be whole.
Amen.
Because you are teaching. You're just not using words. Sometimes you use words.
Amen.
I have to go on to the season of fall. Because we want you to beat the Baptist today to go eat. So I'm going to go to the season of winter. This is when your teenagers get older. It's when they progress and they move on. This is when you have to live with the choices your kids are making, and you have to live with the choices you've made. Don't beat yourself up with your mistakes. In the season of winter, when things seem dormant, when things seem to be near the end, sometimes we look back over our life and we make judgment calls on ourselves because of the decisions that we've made or the things that we've done and the mistakes. And then we beat ourselves up. Moms, don't beat yourself up. Life happens. Things happen. Kids are highly resilient if you'll be honest with them. See, if you carry guilt of a mistake, if you carry the shame of a situation, you know what will happen? You'll end up excusing your child's behavior rather than owning your own mistake. You'll make excuses for their behavior because of the failure that you've seen in your own life rather than dealing with it. If you will own it, and I mean own it by sometimes you need to talk about it with your kids. This can be painful. But you know what this does? This not only teaches your kids, it also heals you, and it also frees you. Because there are no perfect moms, and yet every mom is perfect. That's beautiful. There's no perfect mom, but every mom is perfect. We are all full of struggles, mistakes, and failures. But moms are so sacrificial, so giving of love, and so caring. Sometimes even mothers get tripped up. That's where there's grace. That's where there's love. By owning some of this, you can help yourself and help your kids, and it can be a teaching tool. See, a lot of times, though, the guilt and the shame of what kids do, it has the potential to hurt. And then it has the potential that we end up judging ourselves. Don't judge yourself on their mistakes or how they turn out. It doesn't mean you're a success or a failure. It's not on you. They have their own heart. They have their own choices to make. And that can be painful. This is difficult. Parenting is difficult. It's hard. I mean, the little saying goes, we're only as happy as our saddest kid. A mother is so interwoven and so connected. There is so much deep connection. As I stated earlier, it's like your heart is walking around in some other body. And that child, if that child is sad, it makes your heart sad. There's no and, if, or but around it. But hear what I'm saying and hold on to these words. During these times when you find yourself in a state of disappointment because of a choice that some child has made, do not beat yourself up, but hold on to your faith. Keeping your faith as you keep yourself in the love of God will get you through. Don't be washed away with the circumstances that you are looking at. I'm reminded of that woman, that mother in 2 Kings chapter 4, that Elijah, she didn't have a child, and she asked the prophet for a child, and the prophet gave her one. The prophet didn't. He prayed, and the Lord gave her one. And then when she had this child, later on in years, the child died. And she ran after the prophet. And when she came to the prophet said, is it well with your husband? All is well. Is it well with the animals? All is well. Is it well with your work? All is well. But then he said to her, is it well with the child? And she said, all is well, but the child was dead. She didn't let the circumstances remove the promise that she was given. Amen. She saw through the circumstance with faith and believed, I know He gave me a son. He didn't give me a son to crush me, to hurt me, and to take him away. This is just a momentary problem. It's an issue. It's a season I'm going to get through. And what's going to get me through is my faith in God. She had faith, and that faith pushed her through. The prodigal son, he was lost on the inside of himself. There's nothing you can do sometimes. The choices, the decisions people make, it's not your fault. You have to let them come to themselves. But here's hope. He did come to himself. Your prayers need to be tied up in faith, and that wayward son, daughter would make a right choice, would make godly choices, would turn their hearts back to God, or maybe just make wise choices. Prayer is a key. Don't lose your way in the winter season because you're swept away with the circumstances. Don't let worry erode you and corrode you and get you to a place that you don't have faith in God. I don't care how bad it looks. He is able. Have faith. Sometimes you got to encourage yourself in the Lord, because God hears the prayers of a faithful, godly mother. Amen. They move heaven and they shake hell. You want to know who hell fears? He fears a woman that is a mother that gets on her knees and prays. Because you talk about a woman with a burden, I'm telling you, it shakes hell and it moves heaven. Don't lose faith. Hallelujah. You have to understand this. Please hear me today. Your kid has no idea how much power they have to break your heart. They don't know. They will never know till they have kids themselves. So trust me, the roots are there. You have put roots in. I know it looks so clear to you. It is so frustrating as a parent when you're trying to say, do this, do that. This is what you need to do. And they make another choice. Mm-hmm. You're like, it looks so clear. The choice is so apparent that they should make. But remember in this season, they are kids. And they're not just kids, they're your kids.
Right.
Mother, they are your children. And I want to tell you something. They have picked up way more of you than you will ever know. Your roots, your godliness, the way you trained them, it's ingrained into them. They may run from it. They may make choices that make you think twice. They may do things that would push you and worry you, but you have to know in your heart, I did what I did. I did the best I could. And you know what? God is faithful.
Yes.
And if I wrap that up with faith, He's going to use that.
Yes.
I'm going to pray and believe that God will bring them or bring those roots back.
Hallelujah.
You just,
Yes.
Can I just say this in a nice way? You just need to relax.
That's right.
I know you keep talking about the circumstance and you see it. Trust God. They will figure it out.
Amen.
Can I say this real quickly? And I know I'm past my time, but I got 2 more minutes and I'll be done,
Good.
maybe. I said maybe. Remember, you, when you were young, you were given the freedom to figure it out. And some of the struggles and the trials and the choices you made, they made you.
Yeah.
That was a gift that was given to you. Give that gift to them.
Amen. That's good.
Hey, I wouldn't do that, choice. I wouldn't do that. But unless you ask me, I'm going to pray. Now again, if your kid is 13, obviously we're talking about winter. We're talking older.
Yeah.
That season when they're older. That season when they're making choices and you scratch your head. No. That same gift of freedom you have, love them and give them that gift. Let them have their path because that's a gift. Hold your tongue. Hold your tongue.
Amen.
See, you can, as parents, I find myself doing this all the time. I recreate my childhood for them. I tell them how I got a job. I tell them how they need, I tell, and then I realize, well, it's a different world. And they need to figure that out. Now, those stories can be used as wisdom, but sometimes they just go, yeah. Give them their space. Give them the gift of their own path. Let them know they can always come home and talk. Let them know this house is a house of refuge. I've created a space. See, as we get to those winter years, we have to deal with the loneliness of this season. Can I tell you, it will pass. At some point, they will leave. When a child is born, he said it best. You start marking time. It's going to be 18 years, 20 years, 25 years. God help us, 30 years. Do you realize something, though, about these years? Because we just chuckled. Those years are a gift for you to enjoy, to bless. Enjoy them.
Amen.
I know when my kids went to kindergarten, I went with my wife to drop them off, both of them. Who do you think cried when we were driving away? My wife looked over at me, I was like... You know what it was? It was the good grief of a season ending and a new season beginning. It's a good grief. It hurts, but yet it's a good hurt. In that my kids are progressing, and I was grieving because that season was over. And it hurts. Realize that everything that we have, all these seasons of motherhood, it's all a gift. It's all a gift. Realize that and understand that. And then try to find the joy in it. Because truly motherhood, can I tell you, it's a journey. Dads, be good to your moms. Kids, be thankful. If you're in a home and then your mom is by herself, she's a single mom, you ought to do everything special today for her. You ought to open the door for her always. You ought to care for her. You ought to pray for her. You ought to love her. You ought to thank God for her. She is special. Amen. How many single mothers do we have in the house? We'd like you to stand. We're not trying to embarrass anybody. If you're a single mom, we want you to stand. Look at these precious, godly women. Can we give them a hand clap? Yes. Stay standing. Now we want the rest of our moms to stand. We want to give you a hand clap because moms are incredible. All of our mothers in the house. Every mom. See, there's one thing, moms, as you're standing, that you should know that God wanted me to tell you. Mothers, God knows where you are. He knows the season, the pressure, the struggle. He knows it all. He knows right where you are. And you know what else? I'm going to give you a verse, Isaiah 66:13. It says, as a mother comforts her child, so will I comfort you, and you will be comforted. You know what God's saying to you today, moms? As much as you love your children, as much as you comfort them, as much as you do your best for them, God is saying, I'm going to love you that same way, and I'll comfort you, and I'll help you through the pain, through the hurts, through the scrapes, through the ups, through the downs.
Yes, He will.
I'm here.
Yes, He is. Hallelujah.
No matter if you're in spring, summer,
Yes,
fall,
yes,
or winter,
yes.
God is with you through
Amen,
every
amen.
season.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Jesus.
Amen.
Thank
Happy Mother's Day. Now, look at this beautiful platform. Look at this beautiful number here. What is this? How awesome moms are and how wonderful they are. I would like to thank our team for putting this all together. Sister Stephanie and Rachel, Sister Shannon. Beautiful. And this is what we want to do. We want all our mothers to come forward, and we want you to grab one of these, and then we want you to stand up here. We're going to pray for you, and then we're going to let you leave so you can beat the Baptist. So, mothers, come on up and grab one. So pretty. Just come stand up here, moms. Don't go sit down. Just we want to pray for you. I want you to stand up here. We want to pray for you. We want to bless you today. Everybody got a flower? Oh, Jesus. Now, all of you that are back there, would you stand and just point your hands towards the front? Just a second, we're going to pray. You don't have to point your hands yet. Mothers, you are so highly valuable to God. Do you know how valuable you are? God compares His love to a mother's love. He likens His love to your love because your love is so sacrificial. Your love is so unconditional. Your love is unending. It's really devotion. When you see a mother, you are seeing a person that is devoted. And we want to bless you today, and we want the presence of the Lord to bless you today. And I want you to know that that God thinks you're so special. You're so sweet, so tender to Him. That if you find yourself today overwhelmed, He's here to comfort you. He's here to help you. If you find yourself saying, wow, I need help, He's here to help you. The Bible says He gives wisdom liberally. And what better person to give wisdom to than to a mother? So I want to pray for you. This church is going to pray for you and bless you. Would you bow your heads? Jesus, we pray for each and every mother in the house today. We give thanks for them. We truly give thanks. Husbands, children, we give thanks for the gift of a mother. someone that will love unconditionally, someone that will be so devoted to constantly sacrifice their wants for their children. Lord, please, we ask you, descend upon these women and bless them in a special way. Give them joy. Let their day be full of memories and joy. Bless them today. Encourage them today. I pray that you would inspire them. Sometimes they don't hear a kind word. Sometimes they don't feel like somebody's behind them helping them. I pray that today they would feel that way. I pray today that you would encourage, inspire, and fill them up with your Spirit. I pray you bless them with your mercy today. I pray you comfort them and help them. As some of them are dealing with issues, nonetheless, most of us are dealing with something, God. Help them and comfort them at this time to be all that they can be for their family. I pray these things in Jesus' wonderful name. And everyone said in Jesus' name. Amen. Mothers, God bless you. We love you. We pray God's richest blessings upon you. You're dismissed. There's a picture thing out front. If you want to stand in front of it, get your picture with your mom, by all means do it. We're just so glad that